Hey fifth graders, this is your new video for the week. We're going to start on Monday and we're going to be on page 44 and this is in your textbook. We're going to start a new chapter today. It's chapter 3. We're going to be doing multiplication properties. So on page 44 you can kind of follow along with me and I'm going to write some notes up for you. The properties of multiplication together with distributive property can help you multiply quickly and correctly. This should be a review from last year and kind of this year because we did a little bit with addition properties. So let's take notes on these. And like I said, as soon as I start, you'll probably realize you did this last year. So the first one is commutative. Oops, hold on. Commutative property. Changing the order of the factors does not change the sum. Changing the order of the factors does not change the sum. So this means we can flip-flop two of the multiplication problems and then we can get the same answer. So for example, I can say 3 times 4 equals 12, or I can flip that and say 4 times 3 equals 12. Both of those give me the same answer of 12. I can flip them. Just like commutative with addition, same thing, you can flip them. The key word I want you to know for this is order. Commutative is always about the order, okay? So this is the first one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going through and you can pause as you need to write the notes down. That's the great thing about these videos. You can pause, fast forward, or rewind when you need to. Okay, so this is the first one. Now we're going to go on to the next one. So give me just a second to erase this. Okay, the next one they give us is associative. This one is changing the grouping of the factors does not change the product. Changing the grouping of the factors does not change the product. Okay, so this is all about the parentheses like we did before. So for example, we could have 2 times 6 in parentheses. Remember from last year, parentheses tell you to do that problem first. So we can have 2 times 6 times 3 equals 2 times 6 times 3. So if you look there, it has the same order, 2, 6, 3. 2, 6, 3. The only difference is instead of grouping 2 and 6, this time I grouped 6 and 3. But it doesn't matter, I still get the same answer. If we do 2 times 6, we get 12. 12 times 3 is 36. And on this side, if we do 6 times 3, we get 18 times 2 equals 36. So it doesn't matter how we group it, we still get the same answer. So I want you to keep in mind, I'm going to repeat this again. I have 2, 6, 3, 2, 6, 3. The order of them did not change. The only thing that changed is where my parentheses went. Instead of going around 2 and 6, it switched to 6 and 3, okay? So on this one, I want you to remember the word grouping. Grouping is going to be your key word here. Okay, so I'm going to move on now to the next one. Feel free to rewind and pause if you need to take notes on it, which I would highly suggest. A lot of this stuff is memorization. You're going to have to remember all of this and be able to match it on your test just like you did with the addition properties. The next one is identity. This is the same as the addition that we did. The product of 1 and a number is the same as that number. Okay, so an example here would be 8 times 1 equals 8. Anything times 1 is going to equal that number. We talked about that last year, and we also talked about that with the addition property when we said 8 plus 1 would equal 8. So anything times 1 is going to be that number. So your key word would be a product of 1 and then same as that number. Anything times 1 equals that number. And you know that already, you just need to remember that it's called the identity property. All right, I'm going to pause and go to the next one. Okay, your next one is the zero property. This one's almost like identity, except this time it's the product of a number and 0 is 0. The product of a number and 0 is 0. So this one would be something like 12 times 0 equals 0. So for this one, your keyword is going to be product of 0. Anytime you see the 0, it's obviously going to be zero property. And again, this is something you know, anything times 0 is 0. All we're doing is adding that name to it. And this one should be kind of new. We might have done this last year, but I do not remember totally. We did not do this with addition because this is not an addition property. Okay, pause if you need to, and I'm going to erase this, and we're going to go to distributive. This one is definitely new. We skipped over this one last year. Okay, so for this one, write distributive. This one is when the same factor is distributed across two addends the product does not change. Okay, so this is new, and these are the ones that actually are kind of fun. So I'm going to write this out. If we have 6 times 2 plus 5, what we're doing here is distributing this 6. We're doing 6 times 2 and 6 times 5 ultimately. So what we do is it means the same as 6 times 2 plus 6 times 5. So let's solve these and see if we get the same answer. 5 plus 2 is 7. So 6 times 7 equals 42. 6 times 2 is 12. And 6 times 5 is 30. So 12 plus 30 equals 42. So that one is correct. So the best way to think about this one is instead of doing it 5 plus 2 times 6, we're taking that and we're going to multiply each one by 6, then add it together. The arrows tend to help me, so they might help you as well. Okay, so what we're going to do today is I want you to understand what these mean, and then I want you to practice some of these today. So I'm going to erase this and let's look at some examples. Today's classwork will not be graded. I'm going to check it, but I'm not going to get a grade on it until we get some more practice with this. So I want you to do your best on today. So what you'll do today is look at something in the book, the numbers they give you, and tell me what property it is. So let's look at one like this. If I gave you 6 times 3 times 2 equals 6 times 3 times 2. This is kind of like one they'll give you today. If you notice that 6, 3, and 2 are in the same order. If they were not in the same order, it would be commutative. They are in the same order, and I have a different grouping. I have 3 times 2 here and 6 times 3 here. So this one is associative. Okay? Normally in class, I would put them up and have you get your answer down, and then I would tell you. So for the rest of them, if you'd like to pause when I put it and then write your answer down, you can check it against my answer. So that's one. Another one they would give you is something like this. 13 times 0 equals 0 times 13. All that means basically is 0 equals 0. Anytime you have a 0, you know it's 0 property, okay? Anytime you see a 0. Okay, let me erase these. I'm gonna give you a couple more to work on. The best way to do these is, again, just practice. I tell you that for everything we do in math, but it's true. Okay, next, if they give you one like this, 6 times 5 equals 5 times 6. This one, there's no parentheses, there's no zeros, there's no ones, and all we did was switch 6 and 5, 5 and 6. So this one's commutative. Okay, the next one, if I give you something like this, 3 times 5 plus 6 equals 3 times 5 plus 3 times 6. So if you notice, it's a completely different thing on the other side. We're distributing 3 times 5 plus 3 times 6. We're distributing that 3 to each number, so this is distributive. Don't get confused and see the parentheses and automatically think it's associative. We used to be able to do that, but we can't anymore because you're getting into a higher math grade, and we can't do that. So when you see parentheses, you know it's either going to be distributive or associative, but you can't go ahead and assume it's going to be either one. You need to actually look at it. So when you see one that looks like this, it's going to be distributive, okay? So let's look at what you're going to do today for your classwork and homework, and then I will let you guys go and get started on that. All right, so for today, your classwork is going to be page 44, numbers 1 through 5, and what I just did is going to help you with that. And your homework is workbook page 31. Okay, so that's what you're doing today, and if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, Tuesday video, today you're going to do more practicing with the multiplication properties. So we're going to be back on to page 44 and 45. Yesterday you did 1 through 5. I think you're actually supposed to do 1 through 4. Whoops. And then today we're going to do more of that practice, but we're going to try to make sure you definitely know what you're doing here. So on this page, it says complete, let me tell you what page you're on first, that would be helpful. Page 45. Complete the number sentence to show the given property. So if I give you something like this, if I give you the name 0 property, then I give you 3 times blank equals blank. We need to make these blanks true to 0 property. I know 0 property is going to have an answer of 0, and I know that I have to multiply 3 times 0 to get 0. So this is kind of like what you're doing today. These are the easy ones. Let me show you one that's going to be a little more difficult for you. Okay, they might give you one like this, where it says distributive. property, and then it has something like this. 6 times 5 times blank equals blank times blank plus 4 times 2. All right, so it looks confusing, but if you look at it, it's really just filling in the missing numbers. So we have a 6, a 5, 4, and a 2. So if we do the front side, what we're missing here is the numbers that coincide with the other side. I think I actually wrote that down wrong. Hold on. Give me just a second. I was trying to copy it. This should be a 6. Sorry. I was trying to use your book as a reference, but then also change it at the same time. So if we're drawing our arrows for distributive, 6 times 5. Actually, I'm totally messed up. This also needs to be addition. So let's start over. Now I'm correct, sorry. This should be what distributive property looks like right here. So we do our little distributing, 6 times 5, 6 times 2. Oops, forgot this one too. I'm totally backwards today. All right, that is what it, no, that's not what it should look like either. All right, hold on. Try this again. Okay, this should be times, and that should be plus. This is way confusing, sorry. This is times plus times. Okay, sorry, I was looking at a problem above it instead of the one below it, so this is your final one, I promise. So all we really do is fill in the blank here. So the number I'm missing is 2. Since I have 6 times 2, I have 6 times 5 here. So really all you're doing is filling in the blanks, and I made that way more difficult than it had to be, sorry. Let's do another one, and maybe I can get this one correct. With the filming on Zoom, I can't really back up and refilm, so you just get all the bloopers with it. So let's do one like this. I'm going to write the problem, then give you the name of the properties. So 7 times blank times 1 equals blank times 5 times blank. All right, and this one is associative. Okay, so I'm basically looking at missing numbers here. So if I'm looking at associative, the order isn't going to change, just the parentheses. So if I have a 7 and a 1 on this side, I need to have a 5 here because that's what I'm missing that's on this side. And then I can just fill in the numbers as they are because remember, associative doesn't change the order. Okay? All right, let's do one more. And then I'm going to let you guys go. But basically what you're doing today is just filling in the blanks with the numbers. All right, let's do commutative. And I want you to do blank times 17 equals, give me just a second, blank. They make this so difficult in the book. Hold on. Blank times 17 equals blank times 3. Okay, we got it. So commutative, we just switched the order. So on this side, I'm missing a 3, and on this side, I'm missing a 17. Okay, so all you're doing is looking at what numbers are missing on each side and putting them in the blanks. Okay, so that's what you're doing today. Your classwork is going to be page 45, numbers 5 through 12. And then your homework is going to be workbook page 32, okay? Let me know if you have any questions. All right, Wednesday's video today, we're going to move on to something else. We're going to move on to multiplication patterns. And we did this last year, and these are kind of fun to do because there's really not math involved. You're just adding zeros to make patterns. So look on page 46 with me, and let's look at the top. A data storage company uses computer servers to manage files for hundreds of small businesses. The company has 6 different rooms that each have 200 computer servers. How many servers does the company have? To solve, multiply 6 times 200. You can use patterns to help you multiply by multiples of 10, 100, and 1,000. Study the patterns for multiplying by a multiple of 10, 100, or 1,000. So let's do what the problem asks. It says 6 times 200. So the easy way is to do 6 times 12 first. Or 6 times 2, sorry, equals 12. And then look at how many zeros we have. We have 2 zeros, so we add 2 zeros to our answer. So 1,200 would be our answer for that. It's a super simple shortcut. Now let's look at the ones that they have in your book, and they give you a little chart, and this is kind of what you're going to do today. If they give you something like 80 times 70, first you multiply your non-zero digits, which would be 8 times 7, and that's 56. So then we look at how many zeros we have. We have 1 here, 1 here, so I add the 2 zeros on the other side. Okay, so step 1 is to multiply your non-zero digits, then add your zeros to the other side. Okay, so let's look at one like this. 800 times 70. We do 8 times 7 first because those are our non-zero digits, and we get 56. And then we have 1, 2, 3 zeros. So I'm going to add them over here. So if you see, it's like a pattern. 2 zeros, 3 zeros. If we have 8,000 times 70, we do 8 times 7 first, get 56, and then let's count our zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So then we just add them to the other side and make sure to add your commas to your answers. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let's practice some other ones, and then I'll let you do classwork. They're so super simple, and it's just an easy shortcut to make your life a little bit easier. So let's do 20 times 70. Let's multiply 2 times 7 first, and we get 14. And then we have 1 0, 1 0. Add them to this side, 1,400. Okay, let's do 200 times 70. 2 times 7 is 14. And then we have 1, 2, 3 zeros. So we add them over here. And then last, we can do 2,000 times 70. 2 times 7 is 14. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So we add them on the end, put our comma, and we're done. That's it. So what you need to do is basically multiply your non-zero digits, count the number of zeros, write that at the end. Okay, so let's do, I think we're good actually. So I'm going to tell you what your classwork is today because this was so simple. We did it last year. Your classwork today is going to be page 46, numbers 1 through 5, and your homework is workbook page 33, okay? So this is what you're working on today, and we're gonna do this a little bit more tomorrow, and then we'll have our fun election Friday. All right, Thursday video today, we're going to do more multiplication patterns. So let's just go over some of the ones that you might have worked on yesterday and see just a little bit more review, and I'll let you guys go. So let's do one like 700 times 3. And if they stack them up like this, you can totally rewrite it if you need to, whatever's helpful for you. So we multiply 3 times 7 first and get 21. We have 2 zeros, add it to the end. let's do one like 6,000 times 7. 6 times 7 first is 42. 1, 2, 3 zeros. So we get 42,000. Okay, let's do 80 times 6. 6 times 8 is 48. Add 1 0 at the end, 480. You guys can probably do these super quick. They're so super easy. These are the fun ones that we enjoyed last year because they were so easy. So today you're going to do more of these. You're going to do page 47, 13 through 20. Let me go ahead and give you one. You're not going to have one like this today, but I'm going to show you how you would solve one like this should you come across it in homework or anything like that. So if you get one like this, 7 times 10 squared. We did this at the beginning of the year, so remember these. That 10 and the squared, that tells me there's 2 zeros. So I get 700. So basically I'm doing 7 and then how many zeros that exponent tells me. If we had 3 times 10 to the third, I would put my 3, and this 3 tells me there's 3 zeros, so it would equal 3,000. Okay, let me give you a little bit of a harder one. This should be reviewed because we definitely did this before. I gave you 50 times 3 times 10 squared. First, let's multiply the 5 times the 3. We get 15 plus that 1 0 there. Then we can look here and add 2 more zeros and get 15,000. It's almost like a little puzzle. I like to think of it that way. Okay, so you don't have any of those today, but I do want you to be able to do them if you see them. So your classwork for today is page 47, numbers 13 through 20. And then your homework is workbook page 34. Okay, that's what you're working on today. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, Friday. So Friday is our fun election Friday. So I have a couple things to do today, and I think they're pretty fun. So the first thing we're going to do is an electoral college activity. And this shows you really how votes are counted up in America. This is really how it works. So the first one you do is this one. Okay, so it says, in the United States, we have an electoral college whose purpose is electing the president and vice president every 4 years. A majority of 270 electoral votes is required to win an election. Calculate the electoral votes from the 2016 presidential election and color each state blue for Democrat or red for Republican. So what they do is they give you the state, the amount of votes, and the party, Republican or Democrat. So you have to go up and figure out how many votes the Democrats had, how many votes the Republicans had, and then tell me who won. So for example, Alabama got 9 votes for Republican, and Alaska got 3 votes for Republican. I'd add that up. 9 plus 3 is 12. Then I could add 11 for Arizona. So 12 plus 11, 12 plus 10 is 22, plus 1 is 23. And you keep adding all the Republicans up. So the easiest way might be to maybe make a little dot next to all the Republicans or highlight all the Republicans and add those up, and then do the same thing for Democrats. And then when you go through, you'll be able to put the totals on the side. After that, you go to the map right here, and you color the states blue for Democrat or red for Republican. Now this is going to require your 4th grade state knowledge because you need to know which state is which. If you're coloring Alabama red because they're Republican, I don't want you accidentally coloring Texas because you didn't know your states. Use the internet to help you with your states. Use your social studies book to help you with your states. Any of those can help you if you don't remember which states are which. And I don't expect you to totally remember every state, but please use something to help you and don't just color random states. After that, I have the election addition sheet for you, and it's almost like a little puzzle. So with this one, it says election day has many traditions and symbols. There are 5 different election items that will help you solve equations. Get to the voting booth by marking each item with the correct answer. So, for example, on this one, they have a little ballot box, and it says plus a check mark plus a check mark equals 35. Your goal here is to figure out what these marks mean. So how can we get to 35? So you might have to look at the others too to help you. So this is kind of like a guess and check method. If I said this one is 5 and this one's 5, that equals 10, and this one 25. But if you look down at the next one, it has 2 ballot boxes plus a voting symbol. That won't work. So 25 is not going to work. So then I'm going to try again. So maybe I can do 10, that gives me 20, that gives me 15. So that might work. So then on the next one, I have a ballot box plus a ballot box plus a vote sticker equals 40. So using what we just did, if we do a ballot box is 15 and this ballot box is 15, that's 30. We need 10 more to get to 40. So I'm not sure if these are the total right answers. I don't have my answer key in front of me, but just guess and check, and then at the bottom explain why it's important to add correctly. So this is just a little challenge thing. I just want you to try it and see how you do. It's not a grade, so please don't freak out and panic on me. Just try it and see. This is kind of a guess and check kind of thing, because as you go, you might have to go and switch things around. So just try, and then I'll check it against my answer key when you turn it in. So this is the end of the week for your videos. You guys have a great weekend, and let me know if you have any questions.